Hi, guys. It's been a while, but my spirit has been wanting me to make a compilation of this message. I've been actually going through my old videos and I've been listening to certain themes that I'm probably going to touch base on certain concepts already introduced. But I compiled a list of notes yesterday. I'm going to read them straight up. I'm just going to take pauses just to make sure that um, I don't trail too far from the message. Okay. And I know I'm in alignment because I have downloaded a lot of Gogo and Kenyezi's. Shout out to her. Check out her page. Consciousness. Okay. And she posted a video this morning that is in alignment with the message I have to give as far as accountability goes. Okay. So as you guys are streaming the internet spaces, looking for consciousness to integrate for your divine betterment, I definitely recommend her stuff as well. Okay. Now, also remember that it's the message, not the messenger. Okay. It doesn't matter who the physical packaging and how you get the message as long as you get the message. Okay. I also want to make a disclaimer that all thoughts I'm about to vocalize are my own and not intended to replace or to pass judgment or condemnation on no man. All statements are made in truth and wisdom. Okay? All right, so first up, we have the topic of lust. This is one of the topics I reference a lot because this is a frequency that keeps people trapped and low. Okay? Um, Everything's a passageway, but I'm just saying if you're going through repeated loops of lust, okay, you might want to listen up. Okay, lust is an entity that creeps into the hearts of mankind. That means women and men. Okay, we're not in this channel, we're not at gender wars with one another. Okay, we're all about divine union here. So we're not casting blame. We're just saying what entities exist and what can creep into the hearts of mankind. Okay, so women are fall prey to this too as well. Okay. Lust is an entity that creeps into the heart of mankind, women and men. Lust is the frequency that fragments your soul to fulfill a desire, disconnecting you from truth or the peace of God. All right, for you to differentiate between the two, between love and lust, love is valuing, it is complete, and it expresses gratitude. Lust is wanting, it is worshiping, it's fragmenting, it's wanting and never getting satisfied. Love is complete from the beginning to the end, it's whole. Lust oftentimes brings competitiveness, jealousy. All right, this is a quick way to check to see if the relationship you're in um, has these elements. Okay, it could be a friendship or it could be a romance. Okay, if you are realizing that you're getting into a competitive spirit or a jealous spirit, there's probably fragmentations of lust in that union. Okay, love is secure. All right, it's secure in its being, so it doesn't require it can't even exist on the same realm of jealousy or competitiveness. Okay, so just check your spirits. Now, does this mean if you have a romantic partner that you love and you see them break your union with someone else, you're not allowed to feel anything without considering it to be lust? And the answer is no. I'm saying if your love was true, it won't lead into a spirit of jealousy and competition. Do you understand? You're going to be mournful. You're going to feel all the feelings that comes with the frequency of the connection of love. And then when that is being withdrawn, okay, because where love actually is, it's secure. Okay. But you would feel those hurt feelings and your grief and you go through the stages of grief without actually leading to a jealous or competitive spirit because you weren't lustful for them. Okay. Yes, it's possible to love someone and they were just lustful for you. Okay. It is possible. Trying to make you fit into they probably were trying to make you fit into a perceived desire. Okay. Where you're establishing genuine love connection and then you're just actually filling a desire that they want. Okay. That's lurking in their shadows. Okay. From a place of lack. The only way to truly be clear is through patience and presence. That's where the truth always is, and work on those attributes and everything will become clear. Okay, that's the only way you can actually decipher through this. Is you have to really value truth, and you have to really be patient and present to make sure that all of the connections that you're making is actually based in the frequency of love and not from a lack frequency of lust. Okay, be aware of anyone wanting to connect that lacks these attributes. Okay, so what are the opposites? If they're lacking patience and they're trying to rush into something, that is a be aware of that. Okay, because your foundation as you're building should be patience and presence. Okay, also stand confident and firm in knowing what is divinely giving to you belongs to you. That is security. All right. We're not building on any insecurities. Our shadow sides or our parts of ourself that um, we're moving consciously. That's what I'm trying to say, right? You're not moving in a state of unconsciousness where your shadow is calling the shots without you recognizing what is actually going on. And for you to do that, you have to be patient and you have to be present. It's okay to be still. Now, this is where people are getting I guess held up at is, let's say that you were navigating through these streets, and I'm going to talk about this in a few, about how when you're younger, it's really easy for you to fall in the temptations of lust. Okay, it's actually part of a rite of passage for you to break free from that, but you have to experience it first in order for you to ascend past it and grow, not just in body or in age, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You have to go through these pillars. Okay, lust is a pillar for you to overcome. However, when you're traversing through that space as you're growing, depending on what things you were exposed to and the things that you allowed your boundaries to um, go down to nothing, right? You may have a strong resonance with that frequency of lust. Okay, I'm speaking to those of you that partaked in, I guess, orgies, people who partaked in many sexual partners in which you allowed your portal to just be, you know, this is not a judgment thing. I'm just saying what has happened. And so you set off a frequency of vibration that is very strong, integrated with the entity of lust. Okay, so as you're trying to break free and start a new reality in one that's not in a place of lacking. Okay, and this often happens to people who don't have like that structure in their village to help them along the way, to give them the good advice, like, hey, don't go full on this trap hole. But let's say they went down that trap hole, it's going to be a little bit harder to break away because you have cemented a memory in a neuron pathway of pleasure. Okay, pleasure gets you in this way, in a state of lack. Okay, it's kind of like the same idea as if you're addicted to drama, and that you're frequently addicted to having a nervous system that's not secure or grounded. You tend to want to seek more drama. It's kind of harder for you to break away from that, right, without feeling like it completes you. All right. So just be mindful of that as you guys are traversing. Think about your life. Like, where's the resonance? Those who are overly sexualized as children, they oftentimes now grab onto that feeling of pleasure, and it's harder for them to break away from it later on because they have already rewired their system, their natural system of, stress and reward in a pattern that is causing more loops of lust. All right, getting back to the notes. The younger are susceptible to lust. While they are growing, hormones and environment shape which consciousness and spirits plant seeds in their heart. Okay, so that's just going along with what I just said. All right, so let's keep on going with the notes. Now, puberty hits us all, and there was a time we all were under the veil of understanding, meaning we have not yet gained knowledge of ourselves. So we intake all kinds of spirits, some introduced to us by our environment while growing: lust, wrath, greed, etc. It is possible the guardians introduce, like your parents, your people who are taking care of you, people who are around their facility, right? It is possible that the guardians introduce the spirits into our spaces, they unaware that where you invite a spirit, they will continue to want to be fed. Some were introduced to the home while you were a teenager, when you opened portals of porn and wanted to express sexual energy. All right. So I just want to make a quick little plug here. We're not against having sexual expression. Okay. This was a natural thing that occurs when you watch children, right? I remember at even a very young age, my mom used to watch like soap operas, and if I saw a man and a woman kiss, like I always tell her, like, "Hey, something's going on." You know, it's a natural thing for children to have this idea of what sex is or sexuality is. Okay, it's not a demonization of it. It's about how do we express it? What are we considered healthy? What are we considering unhealthy? Okay, this rewires your brain. Okay, so let's say a 15-year-old girl invites the spirit of lust into her heart. She goes to school, she walks down the street. That spirit is on her field and will direct her attention, okay, and even advise her to do and go places with others whom have that spirit in their energetic field. All right. And there's a place for that. Okay. That place is not for the elders. So let's get into that. If an elder, someone not in her class, her generational class, sees this spirit and he or she has that spirit on them too, tempting them to make thoughts into action, okay, he or she is still falling prey to the spirit of lust. He or she is no longer an elder, a protector. Okay? A person grows in age and has not successfully passed the true rites of passage into being an elder. Okay, they have forfeited divinity for gratification of their flesh. All right. So, like I said, what do we do with this natural occurring energy? That energy, if someone is below your generational class, hear what I'm saying, hear it clearly. All right. That energy is to be grounded within her realm of class. Okay. If you're an elder in a community and you sense a lustful spirit on a child, the only reason why you can sense it is because you're familiar with it. There's no shame in the familiarity of it. We understand it. It's not about condemnation here. What I'm saying is that you as an elder do not get the right to now match her frequency on that level with her or him. Okay. And I'm saying her just because that was the example. Okay, we said a 15-year-old girl who has a lustful spirit, right? Because it's not something that they have experienced yet. It's not your job to now get into their world and introduce them to that. She's not part of your generational class. He's not part of your generational class. This is where people are getting messed up at. Okay, there's experiences that initiate certain souls and spirits. Okay, so if you notice someone being lustful down the street, that is in her world. That's what she is currently having her rites of passage. It's not for you as an elder to try to ground that energy for her. It's not your place. And if you are, then we see that you have now forfeited divinity. You're supposed to be providing and guiding, okay? Not grounding that lustful energy with her. Right? This is why as you grow spiritually, you should be now attracting divine union for someone to ground that sexual energy for you. Okay? And my personal opinion is that you ground that energy not from the state of lust or desire, but through a place of security of love. These are the rites of passage as our soul are progressing. All right. So the reason why I bring that up is because I know a lot of guys will say this thing. They'll be like, oh, well, this girl was dressed a certain way. She behaved in a certain way. And so it's not yes. Do we understand this entity exists? Yes. Right. We're not saying it doesn't exist. We're saying is that you as a person has to have, if you have not spiritually evolved yet, then if you're getting attracted to this, at any point, you can switch your focus and try to redirect. That means you're not doing the spiritual work that's required for soul ascension on this realm. So you can't be blaming other people. You have to take accountability for your own mind. Why are you on the same frequency with that individual who's younger than you? That's just what it is. Okay, we don't just grow in age. The true rite of passage is growing spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. So check your spirit. Okay? Gratifications of the flesh. And physically, you must grow past the lower level spirits, especially if you are given the task of guiding and protecting the youth. We do not grow in age. We do not just grow in age. That's the true rite of passage. You are not allowed to be that frequency with anyone that is not your designated divine partner. That sexual energy gets grounded within your union, within what you are divinely creating. Life. This is life. All right. I just also want to say it's not new levels, new devils. It's the same devils checking to see if you are about what you fundamentally say you're about. Okay. It's the same frequencies. Okay. There's nothing new under the sun. All right. So when we say these devils, you're really talking about the things that are tempting you. Why are they tempting you? And have you not passed a certain spiritual evolution yet to overcome certain things? All right. When you see that you are making excuses for bad behavior, that is a great moment for you to then be real with yourself. Okay. Get into your isolation and do what's required in order to actually connect back to your divinity. So this way you don't slip into spiritual regression, right? Because there's clearly things if you're now making excuses for the inexcusable, right? You're compromising your spirit, you're compromising your soul. All right. You kind of know instinctually what is the right thing to do for your soul and what's the wrong thing to do, right? Because when you go through the dark nights of the soul, it's going to be replaying to you. I know this by experience. This is why, again, this is not a space of condemnation. Every soul has their own particular journey. I don't need to know everything about you because I don't want your shit on my brain. What I'm saying is that listen to the words that I'm saying and use them to guide your way out of that reality back onto the one in which you're moving with divinity. All right, so that's a perfect segue into the next topic, which is accountability. Every time you avoid accountability for your actions, you stray further away from divinity. Okay, when you join religious organizations and begin praying in the name of another man, you forfeit your own power given by divine breath. The job of the elders are to protect and guide the children, pouring in knowledge from their past and facilitating environments for wisdom in their protection. So we know this lustful energy is going to come. Okay, we provide them a way for them to now be guided into where they should be grounding that. Okay, not out of shame because you know you went through it too. All right, we're in the flesh, but we don't succumb to it. This is why we have to plant certain seeds when they're younger to differentiate between right or wrong. Right? What is actually enjoyable, what is not. Okay, and safe avenues to express that through patience and presence. Okay, especially to our women who are now holding guardians to the seeds, their eggs of the future generation. All right, we want them to conceive children in healthy environments. Okay, not from a space of lacking. All right, and this can mean lacking in any regard: emotional, spiritual, nutritional. We want them to have the value, show that love to their vessels so that they are bringing forth fruits that are actually healthy and nutritious for society. Okay. Human beings that are whole. Okay. Not fragmented spirits, because when you have fragmented spirits or fragmented vessels, it brings forth fragmented spirits to be embodied in them. And they become problematic for the society of building up society. Okay. They serve more chaotic instead of wholeness and balanced. I'm straying. All right. So accountability. If your religious organization is now causing you to now place all of your strength or all of your divine given breath or power that God has given you as a child of God into someone else's name, you're giving up your divinity. You're giving up your accountability. All right. It's the same concept of others suffering for the sins you commit. It's impossible. Any sin is done to yourself. What you do unto others, you're doing to yourself. Okay. When you go against yourself, it is a sin to just go against yourself, period. Okay. But understand the concept is what you do unto others, you're actually doing unto yourself, and everything will be Cool. In spirituality, the way that one behaves is their religion. It is the state of being. Embodying it is not externally driven. All right. It's not performative. Okay. I could come on here. I could have locks. I could have beads down my neck. I could wrap my hair up and down. It's a state of being. What I do on a day-to-day basis is my religion. Those are my rituals. The things that I put in my body, the things that I choose to, the avenues I choose to do is my ritual, is my religion. Okay. It's not external inward. It's internal outward. Okay, so you have to be able to connect to the voice of God within. You cannot be just giving out that power. Like I said, you lack accountability for your actions every time you pray in someone else's name, especially in the name of man. Relax yourself. Okay, divinity is not performative, it's felt. Now, in the mainstream religions, attempts to provide structure and laws to the state of being in order to unify. That's what religion is, right? It's a structural way of being it's a way to provide structure and laws in the natural state of being in order to unify one. Like we all agree that we should eat broccoli. We all agree that we shouldn't kill this, or we shouldn't do that, or we shouldn't eat that, or we should eat this. Okay? Now, mind you, this happens automatically without you actually making a doctrine, because there's different frequencies already that you embody that you're now become in unison with the collective with. All right. It's your point of connection. All right. All the vegans going to hang out in a certain, they're going to get the signal to go a certain place. All right. It's not something that requires external inward. That's all I have to say about that. In some cases, it's an agreement to humiliate or ill-treat the women while providing amnesty or pardoning to the men. This is often supported when women believe to be in a hierarchy when it comes to other women. This was a competitive seed sowed by men who also avoided accountability. This is why we don't follow man, we follow God. We align with God, whom is internal. This is, let me take a pause. Perfect. Okay. Now you can say this: I am accountable for my actions and my judgments are my own. Okay. You can say that. You can repeat that to yourself to set a new resonance, a new intention. All right. And allow you to ascend from a certain level of consciousness. With the security of God within, you have no desire to follow man. No man is required to be your head, for that place belongs to God. Could you imagine trying to fill those shoes just because society? Oh, I don't want to. Okay. Okay. Can you imagine trying to fill the shoes? Imagine having your husband or your mate or someone trying to fill the shoes of God. Okay. That's ridiculous. Okay. So just be mindful of that. That's why you were physically created in your particular vessel. So you could tap into the voice of God within, so that when it comes out as clear as true. And then when you have people around you who are also tapped into that voice of God, you can recognize it when they're speaking. Okay. So this is why you have to do that work. This is why you do shadow work. This is why you do all this healing stuff, so that you make sure that you're being guided by the correct frequency, not one that's trying to dominate your own tap in. Okay. Because it's not a frequency of domination. Okay. It's in union. It's in divine union with. And it doesn't try to disempower you. All right. We don't require idols because God is in our hearts. I think I said that earlier. I just want to make sure that's clear, right? Where love is, lust cannot be triumph. So if love is in your heart, if God is in your heart, you cannot fall to prey to the entity of lust. Now, if you fall prey to the entity of lust, it's okay. This is not a judgment or condemnation. I'm saying check the spirits that you're ramping with. It's just that simple. All right. If you want to keep doing business with that frequency, you're going to keep going around the loop of that. All right. And far be it from me to say whether or not, yes, if your spirit is called to that, then you go ahead and live through that soul progression. Next lifetime, you'll get it. All right. The whole point is that we're moving toward divine union. It's complete within its own. All right. So lust cannot even, it's not even something that can triumph in that space. Okay. All right. Religious psychology causes religious sincerity. We must be loyal to the truth in our hearts above all religious dogma, breaking all illusions. This is why you got to be careful with organized religion. All right. Think about Jonestown. Think about Malcolm X's speech. All right. Think about Christianity, in which we're killing others in order to believe something. We're condemning others in order for us to feel good. Okay. And I'm saying the word us because I'm not separate from humanity, from my humanity as well. I'm saying I've seen above my humanity. All right. And so you got to be careful where you're just praising a book because you're lacking accountability for your own soul's journey. Many people feel more safe in numbers, in the majority, rather than standing still and alone with God. That is the true test. If everyone is doing something against God and they're just going along with it because there's safety in numbers, right? You have to be the soul to stand true. That's the reason why you don't follow man, you follow God. Just because someone is saying something, and there's nothing wrong with downloading consciousness, right? There's going to be certain consciousness that is instilled to the pillars and the foundation of your being. It's a beautiful thing, but you have to know where God is speaking and when their human side is speaking, when their man side is speaking, which can easily succumb to certain spirits of fragmented nature. Okay, where they're feeding their identity as a person here rather than actually speaking from the voice and the stillness of God. Because most likely or not, you're going to hear it beforehand. You may hear it in spirit, but then the person who's actually tapped into the spirit of God can make it into the physical. All right. And if you're doing the shadow work part of this, you can hear when the shadow side of mankind is actually speaking, the egregor. Okay, the opposite that must exist for you to choose soul ascension. All right, it's not about demonization, it's about recognize things for what they actually are. You need to be loyal to the truth and not loyal to man. Okay, if we as a people come together and we're saying we want what's best for our people, we want us to have focus on education. We want us to have focus on actual love for oneself. We want to have actual focus on taking care of the planet. That is the foundation of truth. We're going to have people who have certain gifts, people who can organize people, but their will should not ever come in way of what we already fundamentally say what we're aiming for. Okay? Because it's not about self-glorification. We're talking about as a unit, as a people. Okay, so that is what we're talking about when we're talking about the what is best for the community. It's being led by actual God and not our loyalty to man. Keep that in your mind. This is why it's commendable when, even though someone come across a consciousness that you agree with, and if that consciousness starts going left, that you're standing so firm that you're able to break away and say, this is where we're going wrong. And then that's where the humility comes, where we all check each other, like, and not from a condemnation place, because if you're condemning someone, they're not going to be able to see the error, right? They're going to condemn themselves when the dark night of the soul comes. All right. And they have to feel the bun. We don't bun people. They bun out themselves. Shout out to one of my elders. Okay. We don't bun people. We don't light candles for people. All right. Or we literally burn out ourselves because our own consciousness, you can feel when you're disconnected from the tapping of God. You can feel it. All right. There's been one dark night of the soul where I had to literally lay down and I felt all the demonic nature of my being actually came, and I had to accept it. That was my accountability. I did this. I did that. I did this. Air it out in the truth. Right? And only then was my pathway to redemption for my own soul was made clear. All right? To make different decisions. All right, let me get back to my notes. All right, let's get into this. Many mainstream religions fundamentally accept these principles of turning a blind eye to lust by casting their own limitations. The flesh is weak as a spell. He's a man. That's a spell. All in which avoids the accountability of transcending the spirit from lust into its complete form. We begin bargaining with it to keep it within the resonance of their field, which then grows in their churches, which is another word for community. Okay? Church is just your community, your village. Okay? The people who are able to embody the spirits that you guys are all calling in together. That's really what it is. Okay? So, accountability is change behavior by acknowledging error in the realms of the truth and then choosing to move in whole consciousness moving forward. All right? You have to be able to recognize, you have to be able to realize, why were you in resonance with this spirit? All right? Then choose to move forward in a different direction. You're feeding the entity of lust every time you watch porn. And I know your mind, you might be thinking, well, everybody needs to watch. It has nothing to do with everybody else. These are personal decisions for your own soul ascension. When you die, God, you do many deaths at nighttime when you go to sleep. But when you die, God's not going to ask you what Jesus did. He's not going to ask you what Muhammad did. He's not going to ask you what anybody else did. It's your own soul progression. So this is why you have to choose your spirits wisely, choose your consciousness wisely, and make sure you're cleaning up your heart. Right? Because from your heart, everything gets magnetized. So if you're watching porn and you release these endorphins from watching other people partake in sexual energy. Like I said, I used to be addicted to that. So I'm not even going to be like sitting here telling you, I'm just telling you what I learned. All right. And everybody has their own rites of passage into the, Shibud and Dide, which is the fall and the rise. Okay. So just be mindful of that. Okay. So you make the choice. Say, I'm not feeding this entity of lust anymore. I choose to move forward. And that's when you're going to start seeing other opportunities for you to keep making sure that you chose that right path for you. Like I said, it's not new levels, new devils. It's the same devils. They just come around to make sure that you're still choosing the path that you intentionally set to move forward. You're not moving unconsciously anymore. Okay. Because you recognize the pattern and you're trying to break the cycles. All right, here we go. Now, as you were growing in age, we have a responsibility to our soul to move consciously, to be aware of ourselves and our life lessons, because we are now given the task to create and to be co-creators. This is why you try not to have children too young. Okay, you have to learn these rites of passage first. Okay, so we are consciously aware of the life we are creating and for what reason. It's intentional. Okay, bringing life here into this world is intentional. We have younger souls already here and more whom are coming, assisting them through the school of life assisting them in the school of life is our duty as the elders. Okay, we're soon going to be ancestors to some. Okay. From the balancers to the transmuters to the guardians to the watchers, we thank all of you. Okay, we have many hats out here. Okay, may we all be aligned and meet divinely, maintain peace in your wholeness. All right, that's just a little message for all of us who have assumed duties. Okay, divine femininity is mindful of drunken spirits. All right. You have to be mindful who spirits you're calling into your home. Okay. Drunken spirits naturally attract lustful entities. They move from being in the unseen to being embodied in the vessel through the person inviting those spirits to take place in their hearts. All right. So if you have children, you cannot be bringing a drunken man into your home. Why? Because he is a spiritual weak point. It's a spiritual weak point. They're open to the spirits. He's already given them access because he did not operate in divine masculinity, holding a boundary of not overindulging. Okay? If he's treating his own vessel without respect, he will not have respect for anything outside of him. Okay? So you as a divine feminine need to be very mindful of what spirits you're allowing in your home for what reason. If you yourself have not overcome the entity of lust, you cannot expect your partner to, because he's going to be a reflection of you, a physical representation of you. All right. So take accountability and move in the right direction so that it's out of your resonance. Okay. Divine feminine, be mindful that your presence grants amnesty as long as you are remaining alongside men whom continuously make deals with these spirits. You prevent lessons to be learned that's required for spiritual growth. Your presence cosigns the spirit. Okay, so divine feminine women, like, we have this nature to just naturally have this kind of mothering, healing energy, right? For even children that we did not make physically born to us. Okay, so you want to create environments in which that is a safe space. Okay, so you make sure that when you're looking a demon in their face, that they are respecting your boundaries. If not, you need to withdraw your presence. Okay, the longer you stay in the presence of these spirits, you're saying it's okay. You're saying their behavior is okay. If they're seeking healing, you still have to move divinely with masculine and feminine energy, one setting the boundary and one also offering the nurturing. You have to show up holistically. There isn't no wavering on that. It's our task. Okay. All right, so let me continue. Boundaries are essential. Maintain your spiritual cleanliness. Thank you. I have many teachers who came up before me. I have no enemies. Okay. There's things that hurt my feelings, but they needed to hurt my feelings in order for me to actually wake up to who I really am. And I'm very grateful. Okay. I'm very grateful to all of my teachers. Some of you guys teach me in positive and negative, some just negative, some really positive. So I appreciate that. Okay. I am very appreciative of the yin and the yang. Sase yiduru. Okay. I'm very grateful. All right. But yes, let me make sure that none of this demonizes sex. Sexual expression is a beautiful thing and should be protected and allowed to flow freely, but never should your pleasure cause a compromise between your heart, your brain, your head, or your flesh, or compromise your holy trinity. Okay? So when I say compromise your flesh, I'm not talking about any kinks that you guys might like. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you as a woman, your flesh is not ready. All right, you're dry, whatever the case may be. This is not point of condemnation or making fun. That is a signal that you're not doing something holistically. You're moving fragmentally in lust. Your heart, your mind, your body, everything will be a go for actual true love. All right, you may be wet, but your mind is now logically thinking, is this the right thing I'm doing? Don't do it. If your heart is not open to actual true connection, don't do it. Okay? That's why patience and presence is required for this whole thing. All right. We're at 37 minutes and I got through all the notes. I hope when I watch this back, everything is great. But yes, I just want to come on here and give you guys that. All right. Bye.